I have got too many books for Garbaugust. 58 books. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 58 books I've got here that I have to pick some of them to read in August. I'm just going to go through them really quickly. Quick recap. So some of them I mentioned already, but some of them I haven't. So, James Herbert, Paperbacks from Hell, Moon. LeVar Burton is an author. He's also a very famous actor from Star Trek and all that sort of stuff. He wrote a science fiction book called Aftermath. This is one of many novelisations of Planet of the Apes. This is 3 of the films, including the Tim Burton one. This is a book by the comedian Miles Jupp called History. This looks really good, actually. So this might be read. History. It's about a school teacher. Another comedian, Bob Mortimer. This is probably hilarious. This is called the Satsuma Complex. Star Trek novel. I've actually not even included the Star Trek novels. This should be in a different pile. But there we are. I've got about, there's 15 Star Trek books over there. I'll put it over there. Moving on. Sean Hudson, Payback from Hell. Relics. Sean Hudson, Payback from Hell. Heathen. I might read that one. Just this one slipped in, but it is a Payback from Hell. Carrie. This is like at the heyday of that, but obviously Stephen King's not really generally considered like that. This is the first of the Ed McBain books that I've got down here. I've got a few. So there's tons of these books. Highly recommended by CriminOlly. The Executioner. So another kind of action, men's adventure, kind of, masculine, macho thing. John Saul, another Payback from Hell. When the Wind Blows. Another Executioner book. Nightmare in New York. This one was one I found today, actually. Killer Chromosomes. And this is Remo, who I think is the Remo that Fred Ward played, I think, in the film. Let me know if that's true. I'll look it up in a minute anyway. But I think he played Remo in Remo Armed and Dangerous, I think it's called. Anyway, it's a Remo book. Another Ed McBain one, King's Ransom. The Survivalist, the more or less men's adventure stuff. The Survivalist, one of their books. So this is called number 13, Pursuit. Another Ed McBain one, Cop Hater. This is the first one, so this was quite nice to see this, because I'll probably make this the first one I read, as it's the first one in the series. A Nick Carter book. These are terrible, but a bit of fun. The Living Death. The Living Death. This is another celebrities book. This was brought to me as a joke, but I might actually read it for Garbaugust. Claudia Winkleman's quite... The reason why it's a joke, by the way, is that I do have a crush on her, so it's not because everyone thought it was going to be terrible. It might be all right. But I do think she's funny and charismatic and all that. Tom Hanks novel. Well, no, not novel. Short stories. This is a series of short stories. Sunday Times bestseller, possibly because it's his name. I know this might be good. Something that's a bit cheeky, but it's a new book. It's a local author, but it does fit in with the Paperbacks from Hell, so because it's that sort of style. So fleshed out body horror collection. Don't want to. This is 2 very large piles. This is a Paperbacks from Hell. This is in the Paperbacks from Hell book that Grady Hendrix wrote, Adventureland by Steve Harris. So this is probably going to be read in August. Another survivalist one. The number 5, The Web. A Richard Lehman book, The Travelling Vampire Show. That just reeks of Paperbacks from Hell. And obviously Richard Lehman has a special place in Garbaugust because his books are so trashy and misogynistic and all that. Another 87th Precinct book from Ed McBain. A sequel to Blade Runner. I've got a couple of these. They were just found. So H.W. Jeter was given the rights to be able to write these sequels. Very strange. This is a book based on Warhammer. So, yeah, I might read that. A Warhammer book. I've been told they're good by a Warhammer player. Another Blade Runner sequel. I've got another one here. Look, I've got 3 of them. So, yeah, I don't know. See, I was buying anything that fitted into this, and I was sending messages in the group going, God, what are you making me buy? Martina McCutcheon, a romantic, probably a rom-com, I don't know, but a romantic story by Martina McCutcheon. She was an actress that was famous for being in EastEnders, but she was a singer as well. She did some albums and all that sort of stuff. Fred Willard, an actor who is most famous for the Christopher Guest improvisational comedies. He's brilliant in those. He's the commentator in Best in Show, who doesn't know anything, and it's just amazing what he says in those films. But he wrote 2 novels, and this is one of them. Princess Naughty and the Voodoo Cadillac. Sharon Osbourne, Revenge. This is so clearly Jackie Collins type thing. Sharon Osbourne, Revenge. More Ed McBain. Sadie, When She Died. I was really pleased to see these. These are really good condition, these ones. There's Shotgun. And Let's Hear It for the Deaf Man. Very striking cover. And last one, I think, in the Ed McBain ones, Blood Relatives. Book written by John Waters. Liar Mouth. Flash Gordon books. I've got a couple of them. Men's Adventure. Comic book. Nudity on the front. That's going to tick off the bingo card. Sandy Toksvig, she's written a few novels. This is called Hitler's Canary. It's probably funny because she is funny. I have several Jackie Collins books, but I thought I'd chuck one of those in there. Technically, they belong to my wife, not me, but I don't know if I'll go down that road. But there we are. There's another book written by celebrity, Dave Grohl's autobiography, Storyteller. This is supposed to be amazing. But again, there's also Michael J. Fox's autobiography. This is probably very touching and powerful. Victoria Coren's stories about her she's a TV presenter and comedian, and she's talking here about her life in the poker world, because she's also a very successful poker player. David Cronenberg, books written by film directors. Consumed. This is like body horror and sex. And Brian De Palma wrote a book as part of the Hard Case Classics, the Hard Case Crime books as well. Brian De Palma, so director of lots of great films. And Dawn French, she's written lots of novels. I've got one of hers here. And David McCullum from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Sapphire and Steel. You can tell it's the same guy. Look, there he is. Not just any David McCullum. So he wrote a thriller. Steve Earle, the singer-songwriter, wrote I think these are short stories. Yep, short stories. This is a book, start of a trilogy written by Roxanne Dawson, who was an actress in Star Trek. She played Belena Torres, awesome character. Another Flash Gordon one here. This is one that I picked up because it's got exclamation mark in the title. So this is fantasy comedy about orcs going to war. Now there's going to be a bunch of Planet of the Apes ones. I've got loads of these. Look, Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Apes, and Planet of the Apes. So this is a prequel to the new films, I think. And these are more novelisations of the older original versions of Planet of the Apes that look awesome. And there's a book that spans off the Hero series, which is probably good. I'd probably enjoy that. And then one last book that I'm including in this list because on the Garbingo card it says a book that's a tribute to Pax because it's something she's read. And I know that she did a review of this, and I know she's read this. So, last comment for Pax. There we go. That's a hell of a lot of books, and I'm not going to read that many books. I'm going to read about 8, probably. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to read.